Hey, we're in Hong Kong, Vinexpo Asia Pacific 2010. And now within this seminar room that Sean Phillip have just given the research in China consumer market of wine. And right next to me is Sean Phillip. Hi, Sean Phillip, how are you?
Hi, Tommy. How are you doing?
Yes, have been great. You know, it's a great show here. The venue is limited space, so they pack all the exhibitors in smaller size and make the corridor narrower. But you think it's a great market that people are really coming to China?
Absolutely. It's a very small market today. As I said earlier, it's basically you are looking at a market the size of the Norwegian wine market, and it's roughly 5 to 6 times smaller than Belgium. So if you are looking to short-term return on investment, well, you can go in Belgium or Norway. It's closer from you if you are a Western European country.
Yep.
Now, if you are looking forward, long-term, then there are huge opportunities. This market will probably become the biggest wine market in the world in terms of millions of consumers within the next 10 to 15 years.
I quite agree to what Sean Phillips said, but of course, doing a research in China is probably a different ball game than in other European country, because in Europe all the languages are basically interrelated, inter-understood, but in Asia is completely a different language market. And when you have your team in China, do you still have problem with your team when you're communicating with the consumer direct when you're doing the research?
Well, we did two pieces of research, qualitative, quantitative. Qualitative is about focus groups, where you recruit consumers and you gather them in a room and you talk to them. There, of course, we set up a partnership with a local market research agency to what we call moderate the groups. So, of course, we had a local partner speaking the local language,
Yes.
understanding the local market, being able to do this type of thing. We went to the groups to assist to the groups with simultaneous translation, of course, but we mainly use the insights and the conclusions and interpretations of our partner to draw conclusions for the main report. There was second piece of research, quantitative, which is about a questionnaire fielded to 1,000 consumers. There we could do it ourselves. We just needed our partner to basically sense check the questionnaire, making the double translations, making sure it makes sense in Chinese language, etc. But we used the local partner, of course, to take local specificities into account. Now, having said that, that's not really the main difficulty to work in China. If we do focus groups in Germany or in Finland or in Denmark, we always use a local partner capabilities and skills. The most difficult to approach the Chinese market was, of course, this is a huge territory. So
Yes.
we took the decision very earlier to deliver something based on robust insights to target only 4 cities, the 4 main cities in China. And we were not trying to say, okay, 1.3 billion people, let's interview everybody. So we focused with what we think are the 4 cities delivering the biggest opportunities in China.
And I think this a very interesting point. You pick 4 cities. So can you name the 4 cities that you've done the survey?
Yeah, absolutely. Focus groups were made in Shanghai because we had, for cost reasons, to focus on one city. The quantitative survey was made in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Beijing, and Wuhan.
Wuhan.
Yes. Again, I apologize for my very bad English and even worse Chinese accent. We have made 2 surveys. The first one on the phone with all adults to see how many consumers actually drink imported wines. And then the second survey with wine drinkers only belonging to the middle class consumer segments.
And very interesting you mentioned about a city called Wuhan. Is wine intelligence pick Wuhan or is recommended by the company who employ wine intelligence to go to Wuhan, or is there any other reason you pick Wuhan?
Well, the size of the city and the recommendation from our local partner, who found we try to have a mix and north of different cities in terms of size and cultural and historical background. also trade background. The wine distribution in both Beijing and Wuhan is not the same as Guangzhou, for instance. On-premises are stronger in Guangzou, off-premises are stronger in Beijing and Wuhan. So we try to have the right mix in terms of cultural and economical backgrounds.
And maybe I should ask the last question about the education level that you're picking. Are you is education one of the criteria that you picking the focus group? Hoping that they will understand your question, or will be able to answer your question the way you was trying to look for.
Sorry, what's the question?
Is education level of the group or people they invited for a close group, research, a survey, is education a consideration?
Okay, sorry. Well, education, of course, we are talking to consumers who are very unfamiliar with the wine category. And especially unfamiliar, especially with the imported wine category. This is a new category for them, new purchases, new stuff. So they don't understand much about it. But as I pointed out during the presentation, actually, if you look around the world, wine knowledge is quite low when you talk to consumers. People who love Chablis hate Chardonnay, love Pinot Noir, hate Bourgogne, and conversely. So, okay, there's probably some information, some education to make with consumers. Simple stuff. You could communicate simple stuff, which grape variety it is and which region it comes from. I think when you talk about education, one of the major challenges is probably education within the trade. I'm thinking about educating, because there you can talk about education in the most literal sense of this word, with, for instance, shop staff, wine waiters, and restaurant staff, where there's there's a lot of work to be done to educate or to bring knowledge about imported wines to basically the trade, who is the interface, who is in between the producers and the consumers. Very often that's consumers will rely on what is recommended by their friends, but also by professionals, trade professionals.
Has this part of comment that reflect in your report on this survey in China about training to the trade sector?
Not really. We were looking at consumers mainly. And the consumers during the focus groups told us that they were very keen on learning new things about wine. Yes. Now you will, and there is also a trend towards a lot of wine training, wine tasting with consumers, but this is not mainstream. This is upmarket. I mean, it costs money, and not all consumers will go in a classroom to learn about wine. Now, having said that, they are keen. Consumers are keen to learn new stuff, probably simple stuff. For the trade, this is more based on anecdotal evidences and the comments from our partner in China, who basically, as this is a new category, wine is a new category.
It is.
Imported wines is even newer, and there is a very strong need for education for the trade people.
Good. This is Jean-Philippe at Hong Kong Vinexpo Asia Pacific 2010. Just finished his presentation on the survey of China market. Thank you, Jean-Philippe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Say hello to your team in back to London. Okay, back in London. Thank you.